fellow users, and welcome to Never Seen It. This is a podcast about movies that we haven't seen yet. I'm your host. My name is Betsy, and I'm here with Trent.
Hey, everybody.
Today, we are going back to the movie theater to watch another brand new movie. But the thing is, we're doing this out of sequence. So today is actually opening day for the movie we're going to see, even though this episode is coming out in November.
Yeah, like last week when we covered One Battle After Another, we mentioned to you guys, Never Scream It takes precedent in the month of October, but we still need to go and see the movies while they're in the theater, because I don't know if you know this, movies don't tend to stay in the theater.
Not in South Dakota especially. So we kind of have to do things like, let's go. We got to see it before it leaves. We can't wait.
It's either going to be, hey, we got to see it in the theater, and then whoops, it's unavailable for like 2 weeks, and then it's going to be available for rental, or it's on a streaming platform or whatever the fuck.
But we didn't want to do that for the movie we're going to be talking about today, Trent.
Yeah, it's kind of important just for us on Never Seen It, because guys, we're going to the theater to watch Tron Ares.
If you've been following the podcast for the last few years, when we started this show, had never seen Tron. And I think it was our second season where we watched the original Tron from 1982.
2022 is when we covered the original Tron, and we were both very much impressed. And earlier this year, we did a series that we called our Sci-Fi Sequel Sunday, in which we covered the sequel to Tron, Tron Legacy. Now, as Betsy said, if you have been paying attention, we have mentioned Tron Legacy quite a few times, but not really about the movie itself. Guys, as of this recording, we are, very proud. I don't know if it's pride or if it's just, this is really weird.
Yes.
Yeah. We just crossed over 900,000 views on an Instagram reel that Betsy put up back in May? April?
It was on my birthday in April.
April, yeah. So not even 6 months ago, we put out a reel that has almost reached 1 million views.
And Tron Legacy is our most listened to episode.
By far.
Of every episode we have ever done, and there's over 300 movies here.
So we kind of owe it to ourselves and to our new fans to go and see the brand new Tron movie. Now, again, we're sitting here, the movie just opened, and reviews are out. And people are not very happy about it, or at least it's very mixed. Last time I looked at the Rotten Tomato score, it was 54%. And by the time you hear this, it might have changed. I don't know.
But here's what I'm going to say to that. Tron seems to, as a series, have this feeling about it. The original Tron is a cult classic. Tron Legacy has been reevaluated, but at the time it came out, there was a lot of disappointment as to what it was. And so I'm not really that swayed by what's going on with Tron Ares, because it seems to me it's a coin flip. Either we're going to be totally on board, because we were on board with the last two movies. We're not just watching this because Tron Legacy blew up. I am genuinely excited for Tron Ares.
I'm at least curious to see where they go, if they're going to connect any of the strands that were created for Tron Legacy. But honestly, I don't have a lot of hope here. I'm excited to see it, yes. But from what I have heard already, they kind of take the original two movies and throw them in the dumpster. This is Tron in name only.
Interesting. Well, let's not dive too much into that, but what else do you know?
This is just what I've heard. Yeah.
Okay, well, what else do you know about it before we go see this?
So it's Jared Leto, because we can't make a movie.
That's all anyone is talking about.
Of course. Jared Leto is a program from the computer world that enters the real world. And yes, they did do that at the end of Tron Legacy. The Olivia Wilde character is a program of sorts that enters the real world. But she's it. So I don't know if they're going to address that portion of it, or are they going to create another contrivance in order to have Jared Leto and this... I guess if you've been looking at the trailers, it's as if all of the Tron fucking weapons and the light cycles and everything has been entering the real world. I don't know if we ever go into Tron world in this movie either.
I don't think we do, or if we do, it's for an exceptionally small amount of time, because here's the thing. I'm happy to announce it's also Jeff Tober now. We just finished Jeff Timber.
Yes.
But Jeff Bridges is in this movie, which if you've watched Tron Legacy, does raise some questions as to Are we continuing the story? Are we retconning the story? What are we doing?
Is this a dream? Is this like a recording of the Jeff Bridges character? And from what I understand, the appearance of Jeff Bridges should have been a surprise, but he did the thing at a fucking like Comic-Con panel or something like that where he let the cat out of the bag.
He's an old man. He's not keeping the secrets.
He said he was going to be in the sequel, the third movie. And Disney just said, oh, fuck. So they just put him in the trailer to get more people to come to the fucking movie.
Right, because you really, by rights, can't make a Tron movie if you don't include Jeff Bridges, because he is Tron, as weird as it is.
Well, he's the movie Tron, but he is not actually Tron.
No, I understand, but you got what I meant.
I know that, but I will say, Bruce Boxleitner is not in this movie.
To add yet another wrinkle to this storyline.
Which, that's kind of why I'm reacting the way I am before I even see the movie. My mind is almost poisoned from what I have been exposed to on the internet, because I follow people that like Tron, and we've had a lot of comments on that reel that we mentioned that, oh my God, they're going to completely fuck it up. 9 Inch Nails is never going to be Daft Punk, and all this chatter going back and forth about the music. If for no other reason, Betsy, I'm really excited just to see if the 9 Inch Nails soundtrack is going to knock it out of the park.
Well, for me, I guess I'm excited because Gillian Anderson is in
this movie. I was
just going to
say, yes, yes, of course.
And you know my love of the X-Files and all things Gillian Anderson related. So I guess with that, let's not ask any more questions. Let's get on the grid or out of the grid. Either way,
hop on our light cycles.
We're getting on our light cycles. We're going to the theater. We're going to watch Tron Ares, and we'll be right back. And we're back. That was Tron Ares. Trent, how are you feeling after that visit to the movie theater? Our first Tron movie in the theater.
Yeah. Betsy, I am very surprised I'm going to say this, but I quite enjoyed myself in that movie.
I also enjoyed myself. Listen, I think the thing that people are forgetting about Tron is there's not a lot to Tron. If you recall, when we did Tron Legacy, I said there is exactly one movie series that is allowed to get away with very little substance and a lot of flash, and it's Tron.
Yeah, and that applies to this movie and all of the other movies we've covered, all of the conversations we've had about these movies, and of course, we couldn't not cover this movie. So it is exactly what we thought it was going to be, but going into this, I didn't know where they were going to really focus on. Are they going to follow up the Tron Legacy story, or are they going to focus more on the origins of Tron? Are they going to have a lot of 80s nostalgia? Obviously, Jeff Bridges is going to be in the movie, and when we saw him in the trailer, he's in the virtual world. He hasn't escaped out into the real world yet, and I don't think he really wants to, but that's a separate story. I think what this movie is doing is being a sequel to the original Tron that I think we maybe deserve to have. And Tron Legacy kind of doesn't exist because that movie does not really advance the plot. They do a lot of retconning in this movie that, I don't know, are you okay with it?
I feel like it happens so fast. And they just sort of say, and this thing happened, and now it's done.
Yeah.
And we don't address it again.
Sam Flynn had a personal issue. He had to leave the company, and we don't talk about him again.
But we don't know why, but we do know that the events of Tron Legacy definitely happened.
Yes. But they also are talking here about the fact that the Dillinger Company has existed this entire time. That's wrong. It hasn't.
Well, they just haven't talked about it. That's the thing. Tron Ares is drawing a lot more directly from the original 1982 Tron than Tron Legacy was. Tron Legacy was kind of playing around with the idea, but this one feels much more akin to the original as far as like where that company was, what are the rules, etc. And we had mentioned it in our Tron Legacy episode. We were asking, how does this work? Because, spoiler alert for Tron Legacy, the grid is no more, the one that Flynn invented. And somebody commented and said, well, there's also the second grid. There's the Dillinger grid, which is what we're doing here. So it's almost like a parallel to Tron. It is its own version of the story of Tron. It's just over there next door.
But we're talking about two different things here. What I'm talking about are the companies. Encom and Dillinger are two different companies in Tron Ares.
I understand that.
But it wasn't the case in the other two movies because he isn't actually credited or named in Tron Legacy, but the Cillian Murphy character in Tron Legacy, he's sitting in the boardroom when they're talking about their OS going, instead of free, they're going to start charging for it. He's there, and his name is Dillinger. Dillinger has always worked at Encom.
Which is why I'm saying that I think this is more of a parallel story / a direct sequel to Tron, more than it is a sequel to Tron Legacy. It's kind of...
Yes, that's what I said.
Yes, then I'm agreeing with you. Basically, in this version of Tron, Dillinger created his own company at the same time that Kevin Flynn took over Encom again. It got rid of Dillinger. He had to go do something, so he started his own company.
I think he went to prison.
Well, clearly not as far as this movie is concerned.
I realize that. And this is where my mind has to have some kind of continuity here, so I have to integrate these retcons into my own thinking. What I remember saying in the Tron Legacy episode was that Encom basically is a combination of Atari and Apple because they make video games, but at the same time, they make a lot of different tech products as well. Kind of the whole crux of the beginning of the Tron Legacy movie is that, what I said before, their operating system is going to start to be charged. They're going to have to charge for it going forward instead of giving it away. So that continuity with Encom here is true. They're a games company, but also a software and services company in Tron Ares. But apparently Dillinger Company has been a competing company for a very long time. It's as if a company like, this is a strange comparison. It's as if a company like Atari and Apple in the 70s, they combined and they continued on their way, and a company like, Nintendo and Sony created their own separate company together, and they're making games and technology at the same time. I'm trying to create some kind of through line here, but that storyline didn't exist in the first movie. I'm going to keep on harping on this because it does bother me. They are retconning it, and it's really only bothering people like you and I.
It's only bothering you because I didn't care. I did not care because I didn't notice that it was inconsistent with the previous movies that Dillinger has had a company for 40 years. I didn't notice. I didn't care.
All right.
So
fine.
for this particular thing, it doesn't bother me. My point, going back to it is drawing more from the original Tron, is in the original Tron, Kevin Flynn is trying to gain access to the grid to get the file to prove that Dillinger is like stealing his ideas.
Yes.
And then there's a whole lot of flash around it. It's just, look what we can do with CGI. The plot is almost non-existent. Tron Ares is very similar in that regard. We have these two competing companies who are trying to bring a digital entity into the physical world, but it only has a finite amount of time, and they're trying to find the secret code that will make them stay. This takes up the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
And everything that happens in between is at the service of that storyline, which is almost non-existent. So when people are saying, yeah, there's not a lot of plot here, yes, exactly. That's like Tron. That is the first movie. There isn't a lot of plot. And it doesn't bother me. I can see why it would bother people in 2025, but I have seen the original Tron, so this one, not that big a leap for me.
Yeah, you have to have this kind of MacGuffin that everybody is going towards. You got two competing clans here to try to find this mythical thing that they never really explain what the history is behind it.
Why is it suddenly that we're hearing about this? How does it exist? Why does it exist?
How did it exist prior to this moment in time, but it's been hidden from everybody this entire time?
And how does any of this work? None of it makes sense, Trent. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense.
It's not quite to the level of somehow Emperor Palpatine emerged again.
He's back somehow.
Somehow there's these 2 lines of code that completely make it so that these laser printed, I know people talk about 3D printing. This is laser 3D printing stuff. And not just stuff, organic stuff. That's cool. I will say that. That is a cool concept. It is completely out of the realm of possibility, which is what makes this a great sci-fi movie, because all this shit can't happen.
It's imagining the world that Kevin Flynn would have wanted. It's the Kevin Flynn idea from 40 years ago. What could we do with the technology? And they played with it a little bit in Tron Legacy, and now we've just expanded the idea.
Yeah, because by the end of the movie, they have these 2 lines of code. They can create organic mass. So they decide to help out with growing crops. They help out with making pharmaceutical drugs. They help out with renewable energies. All of the very hippie things that a Kevin Flynn would be very much into.
Meanwhile, Dillinger's whole goal when he was trying to get the permanence code was that he was going to create a military for you, an army. He was going to do all the wrong ways of using this technology.
To make money, because there's a billion ways to make money. It's just a matter of what you are willing to do in order to make said money. Because in this movie, the little shithead that I'm going to refer to him as, the little shithead wants to be a trillionaire because he can create all of these new things, and he's lying to his investors and his board members and everything under the sun. In order to what? Make money? You're already fucking rich, man.
This is also the ploy of a lot of tech companies where they know it doesn't work, but if they get you on board, they'll get the funding to make it work. They'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
But the goal is just shiny toy, shiny, look over here.
But that's it. No, the goal is to win. Whoever has the most toys at the end of their life, they win. It's what a lot of these fucking tech guys in the real world are doing today, and they've been doing forever. The oil barons of the world and the computer companies of the 90s and 2000s, they keep gobbling each other up in order to create this giant conglomerate that nobody could possibly compete with. And the only counter to that attitude is a company like Encom that, yes, they're making money. They continue to make money. They make money ethically. And you cannot buy them out. You cannot control them. They're going to do good things over here while also making money and helping people over here in the process.
They're the altruistic company compared to these evil corporate overlords.
It is the ethical capitalism as opposed to the unethical capitalism. And I know that might be an oxymoron to some people. Deal with it. Anyway, again, I sound like that I'm shitting on the movie. I'm really not. These are the nitpicky things here that I was thinking about in the first part of the movie. But after a while of watching the movie, I just kind of let it go. I let it go. I was looking at the pretty lights on screen. And by the way, we don't have IMAX in our town, but we went to I think they refer to it as a large format theater. We have XD. We have Cinemark in our town. And we got 2 free tickets to go and see this thing. So, of course, we're going to spend the extra money to go there because it's free. This was only our second time watching a movie in XD. And the first time I was very unimpressed. This time, yeah, I get it. It's pretty damn cool.
It's the kind of movie made to be watched as big as you can possibly watch it.
Big and bright and colorful as you could possibly imagine.
I really wish they had re-released Tron Legacy here so we could see that one on the bigger screen. But, you know, South Dakota, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I agree, seeing it on that big screen was awesome for the visuals. And let's talk more about that. But first, we're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsor.
Critics everywhere are raving about patreon.com/neverseenitpod. Superfan Stephanie says, all this for $5 a month? Incredible. Phineas Butterfield of the New England Journal of Medicine calls it available content. Betsy's grandma says, what's a podcast? Don't miss your chance to experience this phenomenon. Join today.
So the critique I've heard the most about this movie is about the lack of substance as far as the plot, but the two positive things that keep coming up are the visuals and the soundtrack. So we were just talking about the visuals. I personally think the CGI in this looked really good in a way that we haven't always been getting, especially out of like Disney and their big machine cranking these kind of movies out in the last few years. How did you feel about the overall quality of the graphics?
I feel like the people who are making this movie love the original Tron because I found so many visual elements in the movie that kind of harken back to that, even Tron Legacy as well. The main moments I'm kind of referring to are when it's Eve and Ares in the Dillinger grid and they're standing on this, supposed glass floor, and they break the glass and they fall into the water. And they do the thing that you mentioned when we did the Tron Legacy episode where the bubbles down there in the water are kind of square pixels. They do the same thing here to the point where when she gets back onto this jet ski that he's on, she is wiping away the water, but the water is still the square pixels. She is like holding them in her hand and regarding them as if it's something she's never seen before because it isn't.
I'm really glad they did take time to actually go into the grid because I was like, oh, are we only going to be in there when we're looking at Ares?
Yeah, are we only going to be importing the stuff into the real world from the Cyberland? Betsy, we got both. We got the Dillinger grid of everything being modern and red. And one of the greatest moments in the movie is when Ares goes all the way back to the 80s grid, Betsy.
The original 1980s Tron grid.
Yes. I love that so much. And they didn't do this in the Tron Legacy movie because, they're like boys with new toys. They want to create the old grid in a new style.
They want to modernize it for a modern audience.
Right.
We're going to take the idea but improve upon it, quote unquote.
Yeah. They want to see the new digs because this is the best they could have done in 2010. And in 1982, that was the best they could have done in 1982. Well, in Ares, we get both. We get the brand new digs with all the red stuff everywhere, and you get to go back to the 80s with the old school Tron light cycle. And that crack in the grid is still there. He was able to drive through it.
And the little bit.
And the little bit guy, yeah.
Yeah, I was geeking out when he went into the 80s Tron grid.
Yeah.
That was really a fantastic touch.
I wonder, because I'm a little geek boy who thinks about this stuff, I wonder if these filmmakers had access to the old information, maybe even the old fucking code.
Oh, the design?
In order to recreate this world in 2025. Because if they did, that would be fascinating to learn about. Because the light cycles and the grid itself looked identical. I wouldn't have known that it was made in 2025, except for, hey, Jared Leto standing there looking like Jared Leto. But did you also notice they put that sheen over his face he looked kind of washed out?
He looks gray.
Yeah.
His face doesn't look how it did out in the world.
Yes.
Yes, they did change his appearance a little bit when he went in that. It was very well thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would argue those scenes are probably the best. But then when we are doing stuff in the world, like he's laser printing people, it's like a 3D printer in the sense that they do have those kind of cages they come in. I was like, what are these blocky, blobby things?
If you've ever seen somebody literally doing a 3D print of a model, there are little support legs that they have to stand on. Otherwise, the weight of the resin is too much if, depending on what the model actually needs. But when it's done, you just break all of them off like it's nothing. Same thing happens here. It was so awesome.
I appreciated that little detail because that is how people 3D print things, and you would recognize it even if you've not spent a ton of time with a 3D printer. Mm-hmm. But they can do it in, 60 seconds or like 30 seconds even, and they get these giant constructions or full visualized human beings. It's a nice way to do it. I liked that leap into the future.
And I like the analogy here of, when you use a regular inkjet printer, it takes a while and it's going to go G, 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 or even like the fucking dot matrix printers from the 80s. But instead, a laser printer, all it has to do is warm up and then, hey, you got your printed page. I love that analogy.
Were there any other specific visuals that really stood out to you?
Yeah, when we're doing the bike races in the city.
Oh, not the races, when he's like chasing her, you mean?
Yeah. No, they're not races, but yeah, when they're chasing each other through the city, you get the trails coming off of the bikes, but then you also have the over the head shot of the bikes in the city because they just glow forever. Of course, later on in the movie, when I don't even know what the hell you call that ship that she's in at the end of the movie.
The thing from the video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that consistency that they've done it in all three movies.
Yeah, but then also she shoots out all of these, I don't know what the hell they are, these tracers that just kind of go out there and throughout the entire city to try to find her. And they finally find her and they wrap her up. She cannot get through that barrier.
They did kind of change the physics, I felt like, of those light beams. So
right.
I was under the impression you run into it, you just are cut in half, you smash up. I never really thought of it as you could touch it and you can bang against it.
It's a barrier, right.
Yeah, when she gets surrounded, she's literally going bonk, bonk, bonk.
When they're doing the light cycle races in Tron Legacy, it's like it's liquid.
Yeah. So I like that they keep playing with the idea of the physics of this. Or maybe it just acts differently because we are in the real world.
Yeah. What I also really like here, as long as we're talking about that portion of it, the weapons that these guys use with the tracers coming off the weapons, but it's not infinite. It's just for it's for a finite amount of length. It's almost as if it's a ribbon, but it's a ribbon that will fucking kill you.
That's the coolest ribbon dancer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked all of that. The entire sequences that we just talked about, when we're in the Dillinger Grid, when we are chasing each other on these light cycles through the city, those are the standout moments to me. And speaking of the other standout, I mentioned the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So this was scored under the name of Nine Inch Nails, but this actually is Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. And those two have done many, many, many scores, but usually they are credited as their own names. And here they are credited as Nine Inch Nails, which is unusual because Atticus Ross, to the best of my knowledge, is not a member of Nine Inch Nails.
I mean, he is now.
He is now.
The thing I read, there's not a lot of information out there about the movie yet, but it was Disney. Disney wanted these two guys to credit themselves when they're doing the soundtrack here as Nine Inch Nails. Now, obviously, Trent Reznor being the frontman of the band and doing a lot of the producing of the music, of course, yeah, he's going to be included in this arrangement. But these two guys also get credited as executive producers. So I don't know whether or not they had any hand in, okay, this is the type of music that we're producing here for the movie. Can you get me a fight scene? Can you get me an action scene that is going to go along with this music to have it kind of, for lack of a better word, Mickey Mouse it? But I know what you're going to ask. Did I actually like this? And does it compare to the Daft Punk soundtrack? Of course not. Of course it never will compare to the Daft Punk soundtrack. And there were maybe three tracks in here that I was really into, because the rest of the movie, it's like a normal movie score. It isn't just, hey, it's a bunch of Nine Inch Nails tracks throughout the entirety of it like they did in Tron Legacy. But like which ones they are and where they appeared in the movie, I couldn't tell you. I would have to listen to it again. I would have to see the movie again. But of course, the ending song and the ending credits, the main theme that they've been playing in all of the trailers and whatnot, that's awesome. The stuff that's actually got lyrics to it, because, hey, it's a Nine Inch Nails song.
So not comparing the two, but this just is a standalone. Did you like it throughout
I did.
the movie? Did you like how it worked?
I did, yes. I think it fit. I think early on, okay, I can remember one song here in the movie. It's when little shithead is hacking into the Encom system, where the literal hackers are scaling a building inside of the grid. Whatever track was playing during that section, I really liked it. And during that fight scene that happens soon after that, also really good. Yeah, there really isn't anything wrong with what they're doing here. It just doesn't stand out like the Daft Punk does.
So here's what I'm going to say about the soundtrack. I feel the same way about the soundtrack as I do the whole movie. What I said earlier, where it's drawing more from the original Tron, it is kind of a parallel story. You could use it as kind of a metaphor. If the Kevin Flynn grid in Tron Legacy sounds like Daft Punk, then the Dillinger grid has to be angrier and different and dirtier.
I like this.
And Nine Inch Nails makes so much more sense because, yes, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, they do a lot of this kind of electronic music. They have industrial. They have won Academy Awards for it. But when you put it specifically under Nine Inch Nails, now you have an image. You have an idea.
Expectation.
You have an expectation.
Yeah.
And we're going into the real world, and the real world is darker and grittier, and it's not as clean. It suddenly completely makes sense. And I know people are like, oh my God, Daft Punk, they broke up and they'll never get back together for Tron Ares. I don't think they should be in Tron Ares. I think
you got a great point there, Betsy.
When you actually break it down for what this story is, it's over here. You said it in the intro. It's kind of its own thing. They don't want this to be a continuation. It's a different grid. It's a different character. It's a different world. So why not have it be a different composer?
I got no response. Betsy, you nailed it. Yes, you're right. I think the feeling of a Nine Inch Nails is completely different than the party all the time Daft Punk kind of a thing, where in Tron Legacy, there is a literal club that Daft Punk is DJing.
Do you want to dance or do you want to mosh, Trent?
Oh, I want to mosh, baby.
And you want to mosh. That's the difference between the two scores. They're both good, but they are good for different reasons.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on from that topic, I know we should really talk about the star of this movie. There's a few people leading the movie, but there's one person I think we would define as the star because he's also a producer of the movie. So Jared Leto.
Yeah.
If we had a nickel for every time this year that Jared Leto appeared in a Legacy sequel to a movie, we'd have 2 nickels because we've already watched Blade Runner 2049, where we were like, why is he here? And in this one, you kind of, on the surface level, are probably thinking the same thing. But how did you end up feeling about Jared Leto in Tron Ares?
You know, for a stoic Cyberman, he ain't bad. I think he totally fits this role.
He's actually doing way more in the movie than they suggest in the trailers. In the trailers, I'm like, this looks bad. I don't think he looks very interesting. But when you see him actually acting and doing the role,
you need to have the context of the character to really get what he's trying to do in the acting of it.
And I don't know why everyone is hating on him in this movie, other than they're very protective of the Tron property.
I think people just like to hate on Jared Leto.
I didn't think he was bad in this movie. He made me laugh a few times every time he goes on a rant about Depeche Mode.
Hell yeah.
That's so stupid and funny. The other thing you have to remember about Jared Leto, he's another Tron nerd boy. If you've watched any of the interviews he's been doing in the last few weeks promoting this movie, especially when he is right next to Jeff Bridges, he turns into a little geeky boy talking about how the original Tron at 12 years old changed his life.
Yeah.
When he was a boy, that movie blew his mind. And he has spent the last 40 years loving Tron. In the same way that Daft Punk did, Jared Leto is a nerdy little Tron boy. That is why he is in this movie and why he is an executive producer and why I think a lot of things in this movie are the way they are.
It's the same reason why Michael Sheen was in Tron Legacy. He was a huge, huge Tron person, and he finagled his way into the movie once he found out they were going to make a sequel to Tron. Now, another thing I wanted to mention here, because I think it fits in the conversation. One thing that I've been hearing about here about Tron Ares as a production. Initially, the filmmakers were trying to make a sequel to Tron Legacy. Not just the next one, but a direct follow-up to Tron Legacy. But what happened, Betsy? In the interim, when they were trying to put it together, you had a writer's strike. You had an actor's strike. You had all sorts of upheaval. You had COVID. You had all sorts of stuff happening in the world and in the world of filmmaking that the entire process was upended, and they essentially had to start over. So were we going to get the original guy, whatever the fuck his name is? Were we going to get Olivia Wilde? Were we going to get more of Jeff Bridges? Were we going to get Cillian Murphy, for fuck's sake? Because that was before he won his Oscar. Who knows? Who knows? Because we will never know that story. But what we are left with here, I think, is a good enough, I mean, you could even call it another Legacy sequel, because Tron Legacy is 15 years old. And that movie kind of bombed the way it was. So not a lot of people saw that movie. People know what Tron is. They don't care that Bruce Boxleiter is not in the movie. They don't care that
Tron's not even in the movie, Trent.
No, not at all. But they know that Tron is this weird, psychedelic, cybernetic, whatever the fuck this movie is. They know it's going to look cool, and it has something to do with cool-looking Cybertrikes. I don't know.
I would argue, actually, that he is only Ares for the majority of the movie until he gets the complete, what do they call it? The permanence code.
Yeah.
At which point he is joining 2 lines of code from 2 different programmers, and then he becomes Tron Ares. He is the combination of those 2 programs, because the permanence code comes from Kevin Flynn.
You're right. Because Tron, the program in the original movie, he was a security program too.
That was designed by Flynn.
No, Flynn created Clue.
You're right. Okay. Yes, I forget, because we've only actually seen the original Tron twice, and the last time was several months ago.
Yeah, it was Bruce Boxleiter. His character created the Tron program. Dillinger is the guy who created the Master Control program. They're both security programs. God, you got something there, Betsy.
Maybe not, because I forgot that Flynn didn't actually design him, but he is a combination of the 2 worlds, and Tron exists in the grid. So I feel like it's not that big an extension to say Tron Ares, because we're combining the 2 things.
I think you got it. I think we nailed it here. We had to put it all together.
I've built the bridge. Okay, well, while we're here, Kevin Flynn does make an appearance in this movie. Jeff Bridges is in a very tiny role. You said that he basically spilled the beans. He wasn't supposed to tell people he was in this. He did tell people. So they just went ahead and told everybody. He's on the poster. He's in the trailers. You heard his voice in the teaser. You knew he was going to show up. But you can see how the way he shows up here does feel like it was supposed to be a surprise. The actual scene as it is written feels like a big reveal.
As long as we're talking about that, the very first shot of the movie is Jeff Bridges in this old TV. It's supposed to be old footage of him talking about the grid and what the grid can do and what the future of this technology could be. Is that image of him another de-aged Jeff Bridges? Because I don't think that footage existed prior to this movie.
I mean, there's 40, 50 years of interview footage of him in various forms. That one looked to me like they just altered the mouth and made him say other things, because it was his old man voice coming out of that young man body.
That's what I mean.
But I don't know that they made the whole thing. But it did kind of seem like they were creating all of the characters in this opening sequence out of CG. So it's not beyond reason to think that they just computer generated that entire video.
Yeah, speaking of video, the sister of Eve left a video on that computer in that ice shack somewhere. That video looked weird to me. Did it to you as well?
No. I didn't notice anything weird.
Because to me, that looked like an AI video.
Trent, it would not surprise me at all if there's freaking AI in this movie that is about AI. I didn't catch it,
if it wasn't, I understand maybe it just was a little bit weird. But honestly, what I thought they were doing here is that this is her little shack where she created an AI version of her dead sister.
She did not do that.
She did not do that, no.
But you could see how the idea might occur to her given the content of the film.
And the world in which we live. If it wasn't, I will completely take the L on that. That's just the feeling that I had. But to kind of finish up with Jeff Bridges before we move on, you know, he's just himself. He is Jeff Bridges in this movie. He's always been this guy.
And it's just the right amount for him in this. He doesn't need to be here anymore. It's nice for him to make an appearance. He serves a purpose, and then he's gone. He's not overshadowing the movie.
And there's even questions here about, are you real? Are you alive? Are you even here? And he says something very profound. and follows it up with, well, I'm here because you're here.
I'm a reflection of you, basically.
Kinda.
I'm just part of the programming.
Yeah. And I think
Man,
exactly. But him just being there barefoot and very profound, that's just him. That's the dude.
it's Jeff Bridges.
He is all of these characters. And if you were with us during Jeff Timber, you already know that. But let's talk about some of the other people here. Greta Lee is the other kind of star here. I don't think she really does anything super interesting or special in the movie. I think she does her job very well. I think the only acting moments she really has is when she's recalling her sister and talking about her sister and why she's doing what she's doing.
She gets a few moments to actually do some real, emoting and acting.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a lot of that in the movie.
Yeah.
So they're nice moments, but they're few and far between. Yeah, she's totally great in this movie. She just doesn't have a whole lot to do in it.
Yeah. And they even try to have that other guy who was with her at the beginning of the movie be the comic relief, but he's not actually funny.
And he only shows up in 2 scenes, so he doesn't have an opportunity to be funny.
Kinda. But Hassan Minaj is here too, and I like him. I think he's funny.
He was okay in this. He felt like he was reading dialogue to me. I think he was
He also didn't have a lot of dialogue.
I know, but if I'm going to pick on somebody, I think he was the worst performance. That's my opinion. I don't think it was all bad. There were just some moments where I'm like, come on, you're reading lines. You're not experiencing the lines.
And then little shithead, Evan Peters is Dillinger. I think he kind of nails it for what they were going for.
He's a smarmy little asshole.
Yeah.
Like when he hacks into the other network and he slaps the table and goes, damn it, I'm awesome.
Yeah, God damn it, I'm awesome, ain't I? Yeah, it's that kind of an attitude that really gets under my skin, but it fits the character.
He's also almost irredeemable. Like just when you think, oh my God, he's going to change his ways because his mommy died. He got his mommy killed.
I kind of figured when he says the line, by any means necessary to Athena.
And she means business.
Some shit is going to go down.
Yeah, so they killed Gillian Anderson. R.I.P. Gillian. I was glad you were here, but I'm sad now. But anyway, so she dies because she doesn't do a whole lot in this movie.
No.
I'm happy she's here.
No, she is the overbearing mother who is talking down to her son because he deserves to be talked down to.
I think she maybe waited too long to put him in his place because it could have helped. But he's very upset that she died. But instead of actually doing the thing that a lot of people do in these situations in movies, and completely changing his tune and pushing the buttons to shut the machine down, he instead reverses the machine and just zaps himself into the grid and goes full evil.
Yeah, because he cannot face any consequences for his actions.
Yeah, he runs. He goes into the grid. And I loved, this is another thing directly tying to Tron. He's looking at the wasteland that is the Dillinger grid. The user disc appears, and it's the 1980s fucking Frisbee that belonged to his grandfather. And when he grabs it, his clothes turn into that outfit the bad guy is wearing in Tron. And I went, yeah, yeah, do it. And yeah, I don't even remember what that character's name is. I'm so sorry for all the really hardcore Tron fans. But yeah, I knew immediately what it was, and I geeked out a little bit. I was very happy in that moment. So I think the only other person we haven't really talked about is Jodie Turner-Smith as Athena. She's a badass in this. She just gets to play the robotic, I follow orders.
Yeah.
I smell a rat. I don't know what's up with this guy. I'm going to do what I have to do because that's my programming.
But she's also got this air of curiosity with her, just like the Ares program does. When he goes into the real world, he can look out onto nature and he can see the rain coming down. He says, I can almost feel it. And this is the moment in the movie where I said, oh, he remembers everything that he experiences outside of the grid.
Yeah, he dies.
Even though he dies.
He dies, but he comes back. That programming is recording all of it.
Yeah, so
he's learning.
She is being very curious and asking him, so what was it like to go out there? He explains it, and she's curious. He says, it's almost as if I could feel it. Well, I don't understand what feeling it means.
Define feeling.
Define feeling it. And it's not until they go into the recreated Flynn's arcade at the office when the sprinkler system goes off for no reason. There's no reason why that should go off. There's no fire going on in there.
She did crash something through the window, so I suspect it had something to do with that.
I don't know. But I felt the genuine reaction that a person, quote unquote person, would have after feeling water on their skin for the first time.
She almost short circuits because she's like, what?
Yeah, this does not compute.
Yeah, trying to process what's going on.
Even the little computer readout says like unknown sensation.
And then at the end when she dies, she's saying, but I followed my programming. What are you going to do now? Was it worth sacrificing your eternity as a program for this? And he says, I don't know.
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. So even though she's the bad guy, she's really not, because she's just a program. She was told to do this.
Yeah.
Do it by any means necessary. And she does that to an extreme, but because you gave her undefined rules. And if you think about this in the context of AI as we understand it now, AI is always pulling information from here, there, and everywhere and piecing something together, but it's very literal. You have to give it exactly what you want to get it to spit out in return what you're asking it for.
Yeah, and I think the conversation about this movie so far, you know, in the time in which the movie has been out and people have been seeing it, again, we're in the past, this is October, this is coming out in November. But the discourse around the conversation about AI is, well, Disney didn't want to put any conversation about AI in this movie because blah, blah, blah. It is here, though. Not in the way that people in reality are talking about it fucking taking people's jobs and whatnot. But it is here. When he and his group go to Encom and hack in there, when he goes up to this weird waterfall area where all this data is coming out like it's the fucking Matrix or something, he goes in there to try to get information about where the CEO is. And as all of this data is flowing into him, the concept of empathy enters his quote unquote mind.
His consciousness, if you can go that far.
Right. So just like when he recounts the sensation of wanting to feel the water, he's learning. That's what AI is really meant to do in the real world. It is a large language model. It is a machine learning model. That's what this stuff really is. You cannot create something out of nothing because you need something in order to create from. When people are sculpting something out of clay, you need the raw ingredients in order to make the clay. When you are painting a photograph, you need a brush, you need the paints, you need the canvas, you need all of this stuff in order to create art.
You also need the idea from within. AI is just saying, what's my prompt?
Yeah,
I need
this
the
is an
prompt.
approximation of what you are asking me to do based on what you have already fed me. AI cannot create out of nothing. And I know that's not really what they're talking about in the movie, and that's not the goal here, but that's where I'm coming from anyway.
I also think there's a lot of stuff they've got to figure out. They've got to work on, not stealing from people, and also make it interesting, because so much of it is just fucking bullshit. I think it's just ridiculous, the crap that it spews out, just because people like to mindlessly scroll on their phones. Yeah. When it's like, there are some positive things we could do with this technology if we put our minds to it.
And it is being done. I'm not saying that the whole concept of AI is complete bunk. No, it is these companies who are using it, and as they say, they're breaking things as they go, asking for permission after they all break a whole bunch of intellectual property rights. As we're recording this right now, there's conversation about the fucking OpenAI people basically saying, well, with this new video generating technology, we just hope that Nintendo doesn't sue us because people are making really horrid shit with their intellectual property. Well, maybe you shouldn't fucking let it do that.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Just because they haven't done it doesn't mean they won't, because they are very protective of their own intellectual property.
Yeah. And if anybody knows anything about protecting their IP, it's Disney. Hey, we went full circle. If you would like a more in-depth conversation about AI and the effects on today's world, might I recommend patreon.com/neverseenitpod, where we covered the movie Her. We also covered The Matrix.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot because it is.
We had long conversations about this subject and a lot more on those episodes.
It is a very present day issue. And I'm not going to get on the side of it's completely evil and bad and should be destroyed. But I do think there's a lot of shitty people feeding it ideas.
Guardrails.
And there's no guardrails.
Guardrails
is
what we need.
And also, use your own fucking brains once in a while.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you will stagnate. You haven't watched this movie yet, Trent, but Wall-E. Look at Wall-E. Look at the people in that movie. Those are people who do not use their brains. Bringing it back to Disney once again.
There you go.
All right, Trent, is there anything else we have not talked about with Tron Ares before we start wrapping this one up?
Well, we haven't talked about the postcard that he sent.
Oh, yes, after he goes off on his own self-discovery adventure.
Yes. So apparently he was able to get in contact with Son of Flynn and the Olivia Wilde character. I can't remember what her name is. But on like a photograph of some kind, there are coordinates, like a longitude and latitude of where they are located, because it seems like they just fucking absconded somewhere.
Yeah, so I don't know if he has been in touch, but I think he has found them. He is going to find them because he suspects he is not alone in this world.
Exactly. That's what he's kind of saying in the letter by saying, I think there's somebody out there who I can share my self-discovery with, even though those other two have been shacking up for a while.
Does this feel a little bit like the Avengers, where we get all these standalone movies and then eventually all the teams are going to come together and we're going to get Tron Avengers?
I mean, the fucking Marvel movies are shitting the bed as it is, so maybe we have the new Tron cinematic universe.
It does also kind of feel like that, the way it ended with Dillinger and the disc, and he's now a supervillain. It kind of feels like the MCU, like all the little
It's his
individual
villain origin
pieces.
story.
I'm just saying, I would probably watch it.
I would be completely okay with them continuing on this story. I just hope that people give it a chance, go and see it in the theater.
And don't take it too seriously, because I have been saying this whole episode, I said it in Tron Legacy, I said it in Tron, if any movie series is allowed to get away with a lack of content, but a lot of great visuals, it is Tron. And that's what the whole point of it is, the visuals. The visuals come first, the story comes second. And if you can accept that, you're gonna have a good time.
Well said.
Well, I think that's gonna do it for Tron Ares, the third of 3 Tron movies that we have covered on this podcast. So if you haven't listened to our episodes on Tron and Tron Legacy, go and do that, because we've had a lot of fun in these conversations.
I highly recommend that you go and listen to those 2 episodes lately as we're recording this, because hey, the movie's been out in theaters. We've had a lot more people watching that reel on Instagram. We've had a lot more people listen to those episodes. So hey, welcome guys. If you're here for the first time, this is kind of how it goes on all of our shit.
If Tron has brought you to us, we are glad you are here.
Welcome.
And we would love to hear from you. Where did you land on Tron Ares? Are you on the coin flip of I loved it, or the coin flip of this movie is terrible and it's doing such a disservice to Tron?
And why?
We would like to hear from you. Email us those thoughts to neverseenitpod@gmail.com.
Speaking of finding us, Betsy, we got a brand new emailer.
We did. So this is actually going to be part 1 of 2, because we got 2 rather long emails about their experience so far listening to Never Seen It with Betsy and Trent.
And this isn't just about one episode, one movie.
Oh, no. We've gone down the rabbit hole.
She has been around.
So this email comes to us from Jacqueline. The email is called New Fan Part 1. Hello, Betsy and Trent. I started listening to your podcast this spring and am now about 2/3 through your back catalog, a combination of movies I've seen and movies that are not exactly my taste preference.
Holy crap, that's a lot.
That's a lot of episodes. Thank you for keeping me company while at work and early mornings with my puppy. I'm typically a silent listener, but love your fan interaction and have to join in. Below are some thoughts I have on films you already covered, and I am looking forward to sending more emails as I play the Never Seen It home game.
Hell yeah. This is exactly what we want people to do. If you haven't seen a movie and you're interested in it, listen to our intro, go and watch the movie when we watch the movie, and then you can have the same kind of reaction that we are.
In real time.
In real time,
It's
exactly.
the patented never seen at home game.
That's right.
So she begins with the Never Scream It series. I'm a scaredy cat and very selective on what horror movies I will subject myself to, mostly classics or major award winners. Your episodes are a great way for me to get a sense of these movies rather than watching them myself.
Not only is the Never Scream It series for us a way of delving into that world, because like you, we're not really into horror movies all that much. So we take the advice of other people, including our superfan Stephanie, who has given us so many recommendations over the years, and just from the ether. So I'm glad to have you amongst us as people who are not all the way down into these kinds of movies, but are finding some gems.
Or at least curious about the world of horror.
Yeah, we're horror curious.
She specifically mentions one that she did listen to, The Exorcist.
Yeah.
This movie gave me a headache. The medical scenes freaked me out that by the point we got to the exorcism itself, I was on my last thread.
Yeah, that was kind of a big one for us. We did it as one of the I think it was the last episode that we did for Never Scream It 2 years ago, if I remember right. And yeah, Betsy and I did not really like the movie.
Wasn't our vibe.
Yeah. If you're interested, I would recommend going back and listening to that episode about The Exorcist. I know we're a little bit late on Never Scream It time.
But those old episodes are always there.
Yeah, of
They're
course.
there for you.
And everybody's seen The Exorcist. It's a classic, but we have a very unique take, as we do on all of our stuff. Anyway, continue. This is long.
So the next one isn't so much a specific series, but a series of movies that we have touched base on over the years.
Uh-huh.
The Marvel series. I can't keep up anymore, so thank you for watching and posting episodes. We haven't done one in a while. We've completely fallen off. After Ant-Man and Thor last year, 2 years ago, we just kind of stopped. We kind of gave up.
And I don't really count the Wolverine Deadpool movie.
It's its own thing.
That's kind of the culmination of the Fox X-Men series. But yeah, the last canonical Marvel movie that we did was those two that you just mentioned, the Thor 4 and Ant-Man. Since then, we haven't watched it. It's not like we have watched them and just didn't do an episode. We just haven't watched them. We are way behind.
We were burnt out too. I think like a lot of people, we were kind of like, I need a break from Marvel for a while.
It just wasn't really keeping up with the quality either.
Yeah, we'll get to them someday. So Jacqueline, just be patient with us. We will eventually get to the rest of those episodes.
There's plenty of other ones that we've done out there, so go nuts.
All right, her next one is when we covered the Twilight series.
Hell yeah.
These movies are freaking awesome.
Oh.
Hear me out. I'm about 10 years younger than you both, so these movies started coming out when I was in middle school. I read the book series, owned merch, had posters on my wall, and went to every movie opening weekend. As an adult, I can see many issues, but it will always hold a special place in my preteen heart.
Okay, you were a stupid kid, so it's okay.
Oh, you can also love them if you acknowledge there are problems.
Absolutely.
They're the definition of like bad fun.
Yeah, it basically became this series that was inevitable after the book series got so damn popular. They did not expect the first movie to really become a phenomenon and to have them continue to make the rest of the series.
Which is why they don't seem to have much of a plan as they unfold.
Yeah, even though, of course, you're basing this on books, it's a lot different when you're putting it on the screen. But to you, Jacqueline, and to everybody else listening, I want to plug our friends podcast, Movie Friends. They just covered all of the Twilight movies themselves. I don't know if I think one of them had seen all of them, the other one hadn't. It's very similar to how we did it, where Betsy had seen everything, but I had only seen the first one. I would recommend that you go check them out as well.
They are fun episodes because they're asking the hard-hitting questions about vampire nonsense.
I've only actually listened to their first one because, of course, that movie I've actually seen twice, but eventually I will listen to them all.
All right, finally, she says the Oscar nomination series. Looking forward to watching these movies and listening to your episodes. I will typically watch the Best Picture and both of the Best Screenplay winners, so original and adapted.
Plus whatever movie won Best Picture if they are different.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of how I looked at things when I was in my 20s, like early 20s. I did watch the Oscars kind of around the time I was in high school. That's when I started watching them. To be honest, the first movie that I watched that was a Best Picture winner, I watched it because it won Best Picture, was American Beauty. That one, it came out in 1999, so it would have won in 2000. I was still in high school. And I know a lot of people kind of talk shit about that movie. I don't, because I can appreciate it for what it was at the time. I know, Kevin Spacey, blah, blah, blah. He was my favorite actor forever until the recent unpleasantness, let's say.
So she finishes this section talking about a few of the Oscar movies that we've covered in the last few years, beginning with Women Talking. Holy shit, what a movie. So glad you guys like it as much as me.
Yeah, you, for our Oscar special that year, you had Women Talking at #1. It was the last movie that we had covered for that cycle.
I stand by it. You know, at the time I thought it could be recency bias, but I look back at that year now and I'm like, no, that was right. That was the right choice for me.
I think you're right. I had my own choices, but yeah.
The next movie is Anatomy of a Fall. Overall, an amazing court drama movie where you don't know the, quote, truth, and it's kind of better that way.
Yeah.
On the sub versus dub debate, I'm a subtitles person, mostly because having the mouth movements not match the sound is a major pet peeve of mine. Rumor has it they are coming out with AI that will, quote, fix this and match the mouth movements to the dubbed dialogue.
No.
I will keep using subtitles to hear original actors' voices, but what are your thoughts on this? No.
Yeah, the answer is no.
The answer is no.
I will never watch a dubbed over mouth on an actor's face. Number one, no fucking actor would ever want that to happen.
Yeah, we're getting into some questionable territory.
Totally. And number two, it is going to be fucking uncanny valley where there's always something off, and I would rather have it be like you said, the sounds coming out of their mouths matches what their mouth movements are, and I can just read what they're saying.
Yeah, it is tiptoeing into a problem of you are messing with an actor's image because you are altering their performance, and actors tend not to like that. That is why they have unions. That is why they are fighting these issues. So that's problem number one. And number two, it's a fucking lazy thing to do to movies when you could just do it the way they're doing it now or listen to it in the original language. I infinitely prefer when the mouth actually matches. Even if it means I have to read, I still get plenty out of the movies that I watch. Of course.
That's part of how the actors are acting. How you move your face includes your mouth, and that is part of acting.
And if it doesn't sync up, it's always going to feel weird.
Yeah, and we don't typically watch a whole lot of foreign language films. The only one that we've really done on the show that wasn't for Oscar consideration was Train to Busan, I think last year. And despite everybody speaking Korean, I got everything I needed out of it. You could have even turned off the subtitles and you could understand what the hell is happening.
Yeah, that's the kind of movie that is executed so perfectly, you don't need the dialogue to know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, she talked about Wicked. This movie is amazing, and I loved your episode on it. I saw the show on Broadway about 10 years ago, kind of a rite of passage since I grew up in the suburbs outside of New York City.
Cool.
And watching Glee when it was on the air. So I remember the music more than the story. Looking forward to part 2 next month, which is now, of course, this month. And yes, we are also looking forward to part 2.
Yeah, it's almost as if we have a plan to watch part 2.
You might be getting that episode sooner rather than later. I don't know. It's opening in a few weeks. We'll see.
We'll see.
But thank you so much, Jacqueline. I know we have an entire part 2 of that email, but considering how long it took us to get through this one, we're going to save that for the next episode. But we love that you sent us that email. We're so glad that you found us and have been listening to our back catalog. You are a brave adventurer, and we applaud you.
And keep it coming. You too can be a superfan like all of our other superfans if you continue to email us. And go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod and you can get a whole lot more.
Yeah, there's a whole lot more where this came from over there on Patreon. So check those episodes out. Again, patreon.com/neverseenitpod. If you've actually spent the time digging through our back catalog and would like to send us your thoughts about any of those old episodes, or maybe you would like to send us your thoughts about Tron Ares, because I know people have opinions about this movie. That email again, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. If you're feeling friendly and want to send us some nice vibes for the holidays that are coming in just a few weeks, you could go to anywhere you're listening to this podcast, rate us 5 stars, write us a review, say so many nice things about us going into the holidays.
But only if you are feeling friendly.
That's right. If you're feeling mean, please keep those feelings to yourself.
Keep it to yourself.
But that is going to do it for this episode. Tron Ares in the books. And we're going to keep going with catching up on some movies from 2025, going to some new movies. And next week is going to be another new movie. Trent, what are we going to be covering next Sunday?
Well, speaking of Oscar nominations, Betsy, this next movie we're going to be covering is kind of on the lips of a whole lot of people who talk about the Oscar buzz. We're going to see Begonia from Yorgos Lanthimos.
We have not done a Yorgos movie in a while, not since Poor Things, but we did that. We did The Lobster. So we've talked about him before, and we're going to talk about him some more. So until then, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We thank you for listening. My name is Betsy.
My name's Trent.
And we'll see you next week.
See you guys.